so much, Dr. Maddox, for joining us today. We're so excited to learn more about the work that you're doing in the community. Our team fell in love with you over 2 years ago, just in
Okay.
hearing you speak about your passion and um, the love and support that you provide to the teen community, teen parents within San Bernardino County. So today we'll just go through some questions, get a little bit of a deeper dive into who you are, where your passion springs from, and about your organization and the services they provide for teens within San Bernardino County. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Okay. So let's start with just learning a little bit more about you. What would you like people to know about you and sharing a little bit about your background?
So yes, so my name is Dr. Dretona Maddox, and I am a social worker. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a professor, mother of six, and I am the founding executive director of Purposely Chosen Incorporated. And pretty much I've spent most of my professional life working at the intersection of, say, child welfare, maternal health, trauma, complex trauma, and advocacy for teen moms. But before, obtaining like any of those titles, right? Like I am a person who totally understands what it means to like survive hard things. And so it really comes from personal experience because I was, pregnant at 15 and then went on to become a teen mom at the age of 19. And so I experienced, homelessness as a young person. I am considered an orphan. I didn't grow up with parents. And so I really know what it feels like to be like judged right before people, would even take time to get to know me or understand my story. And so I deeply resonate with the stories of the young people that I serve. And so it's not really, professional for me in that sense. It's really personal. And so I think that's why people ask me all the time, how can I do this work for so long? We're celebrating 20 years as a nonprofit, but it doesn't feel like work for me because I really believe that anything that we have experienced in life, especially as it relates to pain, because I feel like I've had a lot of pain in my life, there is just a purpose, right? And that God doesn't waste anything and
Mm,
that he'll use whatever and what we have lived through to really serve somebody else. And so that's essentially, my background and how I grew up. And then all of these other things, these professional titles just kind of became a part of my survival.
mhm.
Yeah, people are like, you have all these titles. No, no, don't look at that and think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Think of this and think what caused her pursuit, right? Like what was the thing
Mhm.
that was her driver? And my driver was pain.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that you actually answered in your very thorough response. Really, probably, and I'll let you expand if you feel like there's more you want to say to answer the second question, which was
Hmm.
what inspired you to start Purposely Chosen in 2006? Because, like you said, you're celebrating. Congratulations on
Thank
20
you.
years. I
Thank
saw
you.
that on the website. It's awesome. And just to, if you haven't, for those listening or who will listen to this episode, if you haven't, make sure that you check out their website and you get to actually see milestones in your journey. So I love
Yeah.
that. So, anything else you want to add in terms of the inspiration for starting Purposefully Chosen, if you want? Because, like I said, you really laid it out beautifully.
Yeah. I'll just add that I didn't set out in the beginning to start an organization that was going to serve pregnant and parenting teens. Like that wasn't the purpose in the beginning. I thought that because of shame and all of these things that I had gone through in life, I thought that homelessness, because I was homeless as a teen, I thought that was a safer story to share. And
Mhm.
so I started off with the intent to serve homeless youth. That was my homeless girls, right? That was my initial, thought. And then
Mm-hmm.
as the years went on, I realized that God was calling me for something deeper, but it was at a place in my life that I wasn't digging, right? I was running from the pain that I had
Mm-hmm.
endured, and I was just surviving. And so I didn't want to look at, because I didn't want to feel it, right? You carry pain in your body, and I just didn't want to look at the things that I had been going through. And so I just continue, like I say, when I say survival, I just continue to do the things to survive. And that is just adding this and adding that and succeeding in this and, adding another letter, doing all of these things until my pain and my purpose collided. And
Mm-hmm.
that was later on in my journey. I'd already started the nonprofit. And like I said, I was just on this, you know, just doing the thing and thinking I was just going to help these youth. Quickly found out that that wasn't, you just can't, if somebody's out there homeless, you can't take them into your home, right?
Right.
Especially if they're a
Right.
youth, right? You have to go through the foster care system. So I started,
Yep.
all these nuances started to happen, that really was God's way of saying, like, hold up, that's not where I'm trying to tell you to go. That's not, just hold
Mm-hmm.
on, hold on, hold on. Until I actually reached out to Riverside County. I wrote a program to do a stabilization home. And I tell this story often. I was going to do a stabilization home for foster youth, and realized after I wrote the program that they no longer needed it in Riverside County.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they would send me out a needs assessment, and the needs assessment would give, what type of home that they needed. And when I finally got it, after all my crying and all this stuff, took me months to write that program statement. The only home, the type of home that they needed in my area was a pregnant and parenting teen home. And that is the moment. That is the moment where my
Mm-hmm.
purpose and my pain collided, because I wasn't telling the story that I had an abortion at 15 years old in exchange for a roof over my head. The house that I was living in was a community member, and she was just, she was a lady in the community, and a Black
Mm-hmm.
community. And she's like, you can stay here, and you got to go to school, you got to work, pay $100 a month, and you have to pay a utility bill, and that was her rules. And I was like, bet, like I can do that. I was
Yes.
15 years old. I'm like, I can do that. And then shortly after, I found out I was pregnant, and that's when things changed for me, because she said, well, I said, you can come. I didn't say you can bring no baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know what to do at that point. And she gave me two options. And one was to go back into a life of homelessness, which was couch surfing, or get rid of it. Right. And so I made
Yep.
a 15-year-old decision to abort my child in exchange for shelter. And I lived with it, and I held it close, right? I held it close. And so I did all of this other stuff, right? Just like I said, trying to get rid of that pain and trying to say that my life was worth something more, to just erase, what I did. And so when this happened, the Lord was like, okay, now you're ready, right? But you got to start off by telling your story. And so I
Mm-hmm.
never do any interview or even talk about my story without mentioning, what started it, right? And so, and I don't say it in a proud way. I still say it in a way that it caused me an immense amount of pain. But it made me, it gave me my purpose, in the sense that I decided when we started the maternity homes that no child would have to make that decision in exchange for a roof over their head. And so here we are today.
Beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I didn't think the story could get any better.
Yeah.
Your story, your response to the first question was so
Yeah.
thorough, but with the second one, you just took us through, I think, the multi-layered
Yeah.
aspects of your decision and how you moved. So many of our families, and that includes our teens and within our Riverside and San Bernardino County, are struggling with being unhoused, and like I said, a
Hmm.
lot of situations, houses with conditions, right? Housing with conditions, and it can cause people to make really difficult decisions, which is
That you're
exactly.
unprepared to make, right? Like you're just
Mhm.
not a 15-year, an adolescent mind. Think of an adolescent
Yes.
mind. I That was a weighty decision, right? That was a
Yep.
decision that I was
Absolutely.
underdeveloped to make.
Yep.
I should never had been given that choice, right? Because I was unprepared. I wasn't even developmentally, I was not ready to carry the weight of what that decision meant. In my life. And so, but when you don't have parents and you don't have guidance or you have systems, right, that force you
Mhm.
to make a lot of decisions as a child, what do you want to do? Where do you want to live? Where do you want to, you don't
Right.
know what's best for you. You're going with the flow. Like you're just like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
But it has lasting, long
Effects.
effect, detrimental, mental, emotional, physical, effects on your life. So I wanted young moms to know, that they were still chosen, even with the choices that we've made, and that pregnancy didn't cancel their purpose. And so,
Mm.
yeah,
I love
so I
that.
was
Oh.
able to uh, to shape it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, so in going through that timeline on
Hmm.
your website, there was also a mention of, so there was Purposely Chosen,
Hmm.
incorporated the nonprofit, and
Yeah.
then the maternity home,
Yeah.
Nia Maternity
Born
Home.
for
And that
Nia.
was Born for Nia.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what led to that creation?
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that the nonprofit was still able to stand on its own in the sense that we were hosting like baby showers for girls that were displaced in the community. And so that's how we were, using the nonprofit. We were able to get donations and all of these things. And so when it came down to the need for the maternity home through, the needs assessment through Riverside County, we wanted to make sure that the name of the service that we were providing was very, very clear. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I needed a home, right? But I didn't want it to sound like a group home. I didn't want it to sound like, even though the structure of it right through the county has to look that way, I wanted it to be very clear that this was a maternity home, right? And so the name Nia means purpose, right? Which is, really the heartbeat of the home, right? It is purpose that these girls are here for a reason, and that their babies also are a blessing. And so they needed a safe place to live, to heal, to parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
To learn, and to also be supported. And so we wanted to create that space where they could be surrounded with support and just be reminded both, she and her child, that they were both born with purpose. And so that's where Born for Nia was birthed out of. And so for me, it was never just about housing. It was really about creating a healing environment where these young mothers could, learn life skills and like receive emotional support. They can also like build healthy attachments with their babies, but they could
So
also
important.
continue their education, and then they can start to imagine, right, this future beyond survival, where it was just a place to kind of where you can regulate your nervous system, where you're not in a fight, flight, or freeze all the time, that you're not constantly worrying. And so, because we named it a maternity home, it really helped me to specialize, right? I don't take girls, I don't receive placement from girls that are not pregnant or parenting. All of my
Mhm.
services are geared around pregnant and parenting. And so that was really, really important. Now, it was scary, right? It was scary
Mhm.
when you think of funding and you think of all of this. You're limiting,
Right.
I heard it all. You're limiting yourself. You're a niche. Do you really want to do that? You're putting yourself in a box. You have to think of it as a business. And I was 100% sure. I was 100% sure that that's what I wanted to do. And we've been able to do it all these years and be able, God has just allowed us. I have to refer to God, because when I say purposely chosen, I'm not saying that I purposely chose them. I believe
Mm.
that they have a purpose on their life, and that God has selected them and blessed them. And before they were knitted in their mother's womb, He knew them. And so I say that to the young moms all the time. And why I want to say that, because I want to answer something that I get all the time. People ask, why is that so important? It is so vitally important because when my girls come in who have been, uh, that have complex trauma, right? They're in the system because they were abused and or neglected. They're not in
Yes.
foster care because they're pregnant, right? They're in there because they are abused. There are many girls that stay at home with family, right? And family support
Yes.
them. But because
Absolutely.
of them being abused and neglected, they're in the system. And so they struggle with loving this baby that is growing inside of them. And so I have to always remind them that their life is with purpose and their baby's life is with purpose. And so we are always, um, our all of our work is really geared around when they're pregnant to help them fall in love with this baby. And then we model it once the baby is born. So we're always just speaking that positivity over the girl's life and helping her to understand that. So that's why I have to always clarify that and make sure that that's understand and that's understood. And that's why Born for Nia is so important.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
I almost thought of it like a washing, a constant washing over
Mm-hmm.
their
Mm-hmm.
lives
Yeah.
that word, right?
Yeah.
And that's this truth.
Yeah.
That you cannot get anywhere else,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love. We've fallen more into love with you, and the rest of our team and the community will, if they don't already know about you guys.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that stuck out for me during that very first time I heard you speak
Mm-hmm.
was that piece about making sure that you provided a level of wraparound support
Mm-hmm.
for the mother so that she can go back to school and do all these
Yes.
things, right? That she didn't have to choose
Yeah.
between going
Right.
back to school and what to do with childcare or finding a job and what to do with
Right.
childcare. Because that was, as we know, within that's part of the cycle, right?
Yeah.
Is having to make even those decisions. Once you get
Yeah.
a secure place to stay,
Yeah.
for whatever period of time you have it, there's those day-to-day decisions that you're struggling with, like,
Yeah.
I'm needing to make more income, and how do I, but I have this baby, and where am I, because of the trauma, where can I
Mm-hmm.
safely leave
Yeah.
her or him, right? And so there's all
Yeah.
these questions that you guys have answered with the beautiful design of services that you provided. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um, so we're going to move a little bit into and you already touched on it a little bit, but if there's
Mm-hmm.
anything else you want to say about the services and supports um, that you provide. Actually, before that question,
Mm-hmm.
how do you receive most of your referrals at this point? Are they through the county?
Mm-hmm. So child welfare. So most of our
Okay.
referrals are child welfare or probation. And
Okay.
so if they're in the juvenile justice system and they're pregnant or it's just child welfare, so that's where our referrals come from. And that's designed that way, one, because we have contracts with both San Bernardino and Riverside County. But another and then we'll service because we're one in, I think, five in the state that actually do this work. And so other counties also contract with us and reach out to us and ask them to be able to service their particular county. But yeah, so we make sure that these girls really have a need, right?
Yes.
Because
Right.
sometimes, especially like through our nonprofit part, when somebody wants a baby shower, right, they'll call us. But we quickly found out like we live in a hustle society, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll get a baby
Mm-hmm.
shower for us, and then we look on Facebook and their whole family has given them another baby shower, right? And so
Yes.
we're just like, but then we know that these kids that are in child welfare actually have a need. And so,
Yes.
yeah, that's where our referrals come from.
So, and then you're taking them at any point, like you said,
Mhm.
either when they're pregnant
Yeah.
or while they're parenting, right? All
Yes.
right. And
Mhm.
then what type of services and supports do you currently offer to them once they're in with you in the home?
So, our program is based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, their basic physiological needs, of course, are all taken care of: food, shelter. They're able to go to school, which for that socialization part, they can leave their babies at home with staff. We call them parent mentors. Leave them at home with the parent
Mm-hmm.
mentors. They're able to go to work if they want to go to a school basketball game or football game. They're able to do that, right? To just have a normal life. They go to church on Sundays, the church of their
Mm-hmm.
choice. And so they're able to do that. They're, community events. We are prenatal, postnatal services. And so we partner with Mommy and Me Clinic and the Neighbor Clinic,
Okay.
who for me, you have to be teen parent friendly, in order for my girls to be serviced there. I say all the time, my babies have no safe place to land, not in
Mhm.
community, not in churches, not in schools, not in the child welfare office, not like nowhere, right? Somebody is always judging them. And
Mhm.
so we just provide just a plethora of services. And there's really, I mean, beyond the basic physiological needs, of course, safety and security, love and belonging, like everything, all
Mhm.
Maslow, my favorite. We do all of that,
Yes.
getting them to that place of self-esteem and then self-actualization. Um, Beyond all of that, and then anything in between, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, what
All
do
the
you
little
need?
things. Mhm.
It's the little things. It's like, what do you need? What do you need from us? What do you need us to do? Right? We are here and we will make a way. That means if a girl is being trafficked, right, which most of our girls are, if a girl is being trafficked and one of her, pimps have taken her to LA and she calls us and say, I'm stuck, right? We're either going out there or we send in an Uber, right? Like we're coming to get you, right? It's
Mhm.
that.
Yes.
It's somebody who has graduated from our program, is in THP housing, and something happens. They don't have no money for diapers, or they don't have milk, or they don't have food. Then we're there for that. And so we go over and beyond only because most of my staff were pregnant or parenting teens. And
Mm.
so
Everybody works
we're a
from that place of,
community. We're a
yeah,
community. We
yeah,
know us, right? And we
yes.
know that it takes time to develop and to get your gathering. And so anything in between. So those basic needs, of course, we do mental health services there. We do it on staff. So we have licensed social workers there. So they're getting that therapeutic stuff done to work that stuff out. And then, like I said, educational service within any tutors, like anything that they need, their basic paperwork, IDs, birth certificates, like all of this stuff. We are doing everything to set them up for success.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you mentioned graduation.
Mhm.
So what does that look like in terms of how long they're able to stay
So they
if
can
they
stay
graduate?
with us up until the age of 21.
Okay.
Of course, child welfare, because it's a system, wants them out by the time they reach 18. Most of our girls are not ready to go at 18. And so, for the most part, they stay until they're around 19 years old. And then what happens? They get transferred into transitional housing or foster home because they say they need step down services, which is a part of our problem. Because you
Mm.
can't step down a child who is a part of a teen parent community in a non-teen parent community environment. It just doesn't work because they don't understand the community. And so, but they system says they have to step down. And so they'll step them down into that when they're around 18, 19 years old. And if something happens and they fail out of those systems, then they're able to come back to us up until the age of 21. And it works most of the time, but sometimes it don't work. We're fighting right now for a girl who called us 20 years old and crying. They took her baby and she's like, I need to
Mm.
come back to you guys. I need to come back. And we had to assist her in going to court where they could reopen her case. And she was able to come back into the system. Attorney fought for her, and then we got a call 2 days ago, actually Friday, and said that her social worker said no, they're not going to
Mm.
let her come back. And yeah, because she graduated high school while she was in our program. So they're like, she's graduated high school. There's no justification for us to be able to let her come back. And
Wow.
we're just like, but
Yeah.
she's not 21 yet. And the system says
Yeah.
she can stay and she's a non-minor dependent. She can stay until she's 21. They're like, no.
Yeah.
So it works most of the time. And then we fight.
Yeah.
And,
So
and some,
the advocacy part,
the
right? The
advocacy.
advocacy.
Yep. That's a part of our mission statement.
Mhm. Wow. Thank you. And then
Yeah.
how many homes do you currently have, or is there just
I have
one?
two. I
Two.
have one in
Okay.
Moreno, yeah, one in Moreno Valley and one in San Bernardino.
Okay.
Yeah,
And about how many family or mothers can you serve?
10.
10. Okay,
10.
so 10
Six
in
in,
each of
yeah,
those.
no, six in one and four in the other. So 10
Okay.
total.
Yeah.
It's a healthy number for us.
Yes.
It's a healthy number because you have to think they have babies, right? So it's a healthy
Yes.
number
Yes.
for us. So on average, between 8 and 10 is where we stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that does make sense too, because like you
Yeah.
said, you're not, this is not, uh, a light
No,
support, right?
no,
This
no,
is
no.
like you mentioned, it's all the heavy lifting and heavy
Yes.
support, as well as all making sure all those little things are also
Yeah, we
spared.
have a baby in labor right now. She's in labor right now. My staff is there. And so somebody has to
Awesome.
spend the night. You know, staff has been there all
Yes.
day. They switch off and somebody spend the night until we get this baby through a healthy delivery. So yeah, so it's all hands on deck. And just think of that
Wow.
when we have two or three girls in labor at the same time. Like it's
Yes.
tough. It's tough work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's also what I hope will, happen with us again, elevating, this conversation
Yeah.
and your services is that there will be more ways that the community can partner with you to
Yeah.
provide some additional arms and legs, right,
Mm-hmm.
to the mission that you guys have, because I'm thinking, this we even with the labor and delivery piece, it would be beautiful to be able to tap in some doulas,
Some
right? And
doulas.
say
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say,
Go
that
up
you
there and sit
feel
down. Yeah.
yes, because
Yeah.
that's what that is what we do. I'm a full spectrum doula as well. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And so to be able to know that you have a trusted
Yes.
group that you can lean on to, you know, almost a warm handoff, and it's
And
not
can we
truly
talk
a
about
handoff.
that a little about trusted?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
that's our problem. People ask me all the time, what is my biggest barrier? It's trust.
Mhm.
Because people want our babies.
Yep,
They want the newborns,
yep,
right? And
absolutely.
so we had, a church, right, who reaches out, but you have a whole adoption program within your church. And so you want our girls there. You want to find out all of their problems, right? Because they come with their heart on their sleeve and they start to tell their trauma, what they're gone through. And before you know it, they're offering support. But that support is to put that baby into a foster adopt home. You don't want my teen mom. You don't want to keep them
Mhm.
together. You want the baby. Right. And
Yes,
so that is
yep,
not what our program is about. Our mission is to help teen moms keep their babies through
yes. That
non-stigmatizing support, advocacy, and parenting education. And we don't shame them. We wrap them with these services and we help them become great little moms.
Yeah. And that's what stuck out, I think, for all of us, or at least on our team, when
Yeah.
we heard you speak, and it's pretty blatantly, spelled out at the beginning of on your homepage
Yeah.
about that being the mission, because
Hmm.
like you said, we're asking, even just from a community organization standpoint, another community organization standpoint, we're asking for people to trust us, and then with them giving us their very personal information
Hmm.
comes a requirement and a requirement to handle that with care, right? That
Yeah.
information, and to not do harm, right, in the
Yeah.
lives of the families that are looking for support. So I love that you brought that in. But yeah, I'm hoping that you can get almost like some extensions, right,
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
community where it can give you guys some additional support. Thank you for
Yeah.
what you do. So I had a question, but I'm going to
Hmm.
skip that because I feel like there was a question about what makes Born for Nia Maternity Home unique, but you already laid that
Yeah.
out. This is not
Yeah.
something you're gonna find
Yeah.
in every community yet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who
Right.
knows,
Right.
right? You're
Yeah.
again those roots, right?
Yeah.
Um, and let's see. So we talked about, there's another question about holistic support. What does it look like in your program? You laid that out beautifully. Um, let's see. What would you say? And this is kind of leaning in on that community engagement and support
Hmm.
question. How can the community support you? Purposely chosen and born for Nia. What are some ways that you feel like at this point in the 20-year mark, how might community best support you?
Um, I always start with this, and you know, do better. I'll just start with that, right? Like, just do better. One, and I'll talk specifically about our organization, but just about our community in general. Treat them better, right?
Yeah.
Treat them better. Don't stare at them. Don't be mean to them. Don't say mean stuff to them when they're in the community. No matter what environment, because you'll encounter a teen mom from anywhere. They could be in the grocery store, they could be at, the school, they could be, anywhere, DMV, right? Just treat them
Mhm.
better.
Mhm.
Also in healthcare settings or whatever. And so all of those things I tell people all the time, like, do better. Like, when you see a teen mom, like, just treat them better.
Yes.
When it comes down to just like support that we need, yeah, we've gotten some of our staff trained as doulas, but they're still a part of our staff. And so that
Mhm.
extension would be really, really great to have that level of advocacy on that part. I know that we just had a we thought it was a trusted partner, right? And one of our girls was in the hospital and she was having a very difficult time. And she called her community partner, that was a doula, who was like, didn't show up, right? Like, didn't show up. And she was in the
Mhm.
hospital and she was like, she said she was going to come. And then when I asked her to give me the doula's number, and when she did, I called the doula, and the doula was like, well, she didn't tell me. She didn't, like, really commit. She said that she was, and then she really didn't commit. And I'm like, okay, she's 15. And
Yeah.
so trying to get a commitment out of her when she didn't think that she needed it is kind of normal.
Mhm.
But she's in the hospital laboring right now and she's begging for your support. Can
Mhm.
we get past her attitude when when she didn't commit? And can we, like, get in
Mhm.
there?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
she's
Plug
calling
in.
you. Like, she's calling you.
Mhm.
She's not even calling my staff. She's calling you.
Mm.
And she said, I couldn't, I can't, whatever. And so I just need people to be, I need people to keep it a buck. And that means be real,
Yep.
be transparent. If you're going to say that you're going to be there, really be there. This work is not easy. It is hard work. It takes more than just, I feel sorry for them and I just, feel like I have so much to give to them. How about flipping it and saying they have a lot to give us? They have a
Mm.
lot to teach us. And so are you willing to learn their language and willing to sit through the complexities of their life? And when they call on you, you really show up, right? Like, that's what I need from, like, people, like, trusted adults. Because if it's not within our community, meaning our home, right, that we can give them that support, I need somebody in the community that they can call outside of us. Because when they
Yep.
leave us, I mean, our hands are tied, right? Like, and it's like, okay, you moved here and now you're doing this. We need another hand where we can pick up the phone and say, hey, are you
Right.
available? Right? Like, she needs
Mhm.
this right now. Can you go and be there, right, for her right now? That would be great if we just had, listen, give me five.
Right.
Just
I was gonna say
give
yes.
me five good people, like, good hearted, like, you for real got a good heart. And then the moment she has a crash out, you're not calling CPS on her,
Right.
right? Like, you
Right.
really are
Right. You're
laboring with her.
invested.
Like, you're
Mhm.
invested on that level. See, that's
Mhm.
people, they think I'm, I get, you're a gatekeeper, you're like whatever. No, I've been in, I got 20 years in the game. I got skin in the game, right?
Right.
I've seen it
Absolutely.
all. I've seen it
Absolutely.
all, right? And
Absolutely.
so I need people to just, I just need people to be, I need, like, some trusted people who are willing to be in it for the long haul, right?
Yeah.
And when you're not, when you're tired, tap out, right? Because we're a
Yes.
team. So just say, I'm tired, I'm tapping out, and we respect that so much. And when you get your rest, tap back in. But I just
Yes.
need to know that you are really there. You're
Yeah.
just really there for our kids. And that's if we can get past that, we could really change the
Huge.
world. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
with these moms, because they need it. They
They
definitely
need
need
it.
it. But we got to get past that.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that that's for a lot of us that are serving, we talk about just, the importance of a village and
Yeah.
I mean, you've created a microcosm, right, of a village right now
Hmm.
for these teen moms,
Yeah,
you know, with the intention of making sure that they have the information, education that they need to then make that transition. But you talked originally about how difficult that is for them. And so having, like you said, having those trusted partners, having um, those built-in avenues, right, for them
yeah,
to start to work on that village, right, getting that village in place, having those
yeah,
trusted people will be huge for them as they go through that transition. Because, like you said, even the example you shared, this is a mom that came back, needed the support, and then kind of got caught up in, you know, the the system,
red tape.
right?
You know, the red
Yep,
tape of it all,
yep,
right? Like, oh,
yep.
she
Red
didn't
tape
sign
of
the
it.
paper. She didn't really
Yep,
say she wanted. You kind of
yep,
whatever. Okay.
yep.
Can you get over it? Can you
Yes,
just let that go for she's in labor? Like,
yes,
can you
yeah.
just put that aside for a second and
Yep.
just say she's in need and she called you?
Yeah,
She
yeah.
called
Huge.
you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that is, she's getting ready. She wants you in her delivery room. Like, this is
Mhm.
big.
Yeah.
And you want
Yeah.
to talk about paperwork right now?
Right.
Like
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Like people, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. People talk a good game. People talk a good game and they say a lot of things. But when it, but then again, it was late at night. I think it was 10 at that point. She probably was like, I'm not getting out of bed. Like
Right.
I don't want to be sitting in the
Right.
hospital. I got a family, all the
Right.
things, all the
Right.
things. And
All
I
the
just want to
things.
say
All
we
the
do
things.
too. We do too.
Right.
But
Yes. Yes.
but
But
we
this
on
is
our way, we on
yeah.
our way, like because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it really takes, and that's the part that people don't want to talk about. Like
Mm.
that's what it takes. It's the
Yeah.
midnight
Yeah.
hour. It's the time when you are
Yes.
tired or you're at the park with your kids and one of these moms call, right? And you're just like, I don't want to, I'm having family time, right? But they need you. Like, are you really
Yeah.
here? Or are you not? Because we
Yes.
are. I'm just gonna say we
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And that's what I'm hoping, like I said, to be able to find the inspired, right?
yeah,
Identify those individuals that um can help, you know, extend the work that you've already done,
yeah,
or you're doing really actively in the community.
yeah.
And um, so, and then in terms of, let's see, um, so you mentioned also, I don't want to forget this part, that you are a professor.
Hmm.
Uh, Um, so talk a little bit about that piece before we close.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. My favorite theorist, right? He gets to a point in his life and his career where he talks about self-transcendence, and that's above self-actualization. And that is that point where you are ready to pour into the next generation. And when I got my doctorate, that was, I felt like I had done a lot in this area, but I needed to do more and I wanted to know what that more was. Now, I didn't go into it in the hopes of like teaching per se. I was really trying to look for another door another ceiling that I could break or break through, right, for my teen moms. And then once I got the opportunity to teach, I realized that I am now teaching the next social workers and nurses. And so that is now very, very rewarding because I get them on ground level, coming into this field and teaching them, the expectations of what it looks like to be resilient in this work, right? And what burnout looks like, but how do you recover from
Mhm.
it? Really knowing what your purpose is and really separating that from just a profession, right?
Right.
And so that's the next level for me. And so I do this work every day and I really enjoy teaching. I'm still very active, at the nonprofit. And so I'm still with them and I do clinical supervision for my social work staff and I'm still ED at Purposely Chosen. And so just all things, it still wraps around and I just get another layer now.
Yeah.
I get to give back, to the
Yes.
next generation of social workers and nurses. So it's really, really rewarding on this side of it.
Yeah, I can see that. And also just from the perspective of having one of the first voices, right, to speak into the lives of these new professionals that
Hmm.
will help make sure that they are interacting with families in a culturally sensitive way, right? I
Right.
mean, that they can also feel, you know, who knows, one of them, if not all
Right.
of them, right? Become one of those soft
Right.
places that these families can go to and feel comfortable knowing that they're going to get the support without the stigma. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, see, so we're gonna go ahead. Any other, can organizations, individuals make financial donations to your
Yeah.
organization to support, or are you still doing the baby showers,
Yeah.
as well in terms of donating items?
Yeah. What I always ask people to do, yes, donate, 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 because the babies are not taken care of in the system. Remember, the babies are not in foster care. They're coming out fresh. They don't have an open case, right? And so it is still the mom in foster care. So she is being taken care of by the system, right? So the county still takes care of her for her housing or shelter. I mean, her shelter, her food, and all that stuff. So that happens through the county. But when the baby is born, the babies are not in the system. So we have to do additional support for those babies. They give us a small stipend, right, to try to help, but it's never enough because our teen moms go through diapers like I can't even explain, right? We're going to
Mm-hmm.
a case of diapers every 3 to 4 days. And so with diapers and clothes and wipes and all of those stuff, the baby showers, like all the major stuff, we try to partner with like Mommy and Me to make sure they get a car seat, but it's standard car seats. We're a little fancy over here. And so we
Right.
we do we do a little bit more of what you get from
Yes.
like the sheriff's department, right? Like, I mean, it's
Yes.
cute and all, but no, right? So we like to go out in style, for our girls. And so, car seat, stroller, and we like to give them the option. We wanted them to like go do your Amazon wish list, right? Like get to pick out because that's a part of
That's
them falling in
the
love with their baby,
experience.
right? That whole
Yeah.
experience, right? And so we're trying to do that. And even when for the baby's birthdays, we just had a baby just turn 1. And so doing the birthday
Aww.
parties and all of that stuff. That's all coming out of our funds that we are receiving, through donations. And so, yes, 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 there's a link on our website that you're able to donate, and just know that that's where that money is going. Because some people say, oh, well, the girls are in foster care. I get it. But let me tell you something, it's still never enough. It's still never
Yes.
enough
Yes.
to take care of them because we're taking care of two, right? Like we're taking care of two. Every girl
Yes.
that's it's two that we're taking care of. And so yeah,
Yes.
so any way that people can donate, we used to take like clothes and all of that stuff, used items, and then people just started emptying their garage
Mm.
and stuff that they just didn't want anymore. And my girls just deserve better. They do.
Yeah.
And so they get to get new stuff. The gift of like opening up a box and putting together,
Yeah.
the bassinet. You know what I'm saying? Like they deserve that. And so we stopped doing that because people just started dumping.
Yeah.
They just started dumping the things, that the stroller or something is like 15 years old. And it's like, oh yeah, it was in my garage. It was my, granddaughters or whatever and or
Yeah.
daughters. And we're just like, no, not for our
That's
girls.
not helpful. That is not,
No,
yeah, not at all.
no.
Um, wow. Well, this has been a amazing time with you. And hopefully not our only time,
All
right? I want to
right.
like, just check back in. Like I said, it's just it's our organization taking this information back.
Yeah.
Um, in all the wonderful collaborative meetings that we're in monthly, right? To
Yeah. Yeah.
also find out if there's, I did help you identify supports that you can lean on, right? That are
Yeah.
trusted, kind of, increasing that those options for you in your
Yeah.
community. So just thank you so much. So you just listened to an episode where we talked with Dr. Maddox about the amazing work that she's doing with her nonprofit, Purposely Chosen Inc. Thank her again for taking the time to speak with us and for the meaningful work that she's doing in the community. Her dedication to supporting teen moms as we learn, comes from a place of, or the intersection, actually, beautifully as she put it, the intersection between pain and purpose. And the work is truly inspiring. We're grateful for the opportunity to uplift her mission, their mission, and the impact that they are having in the community. This has been another episode of the Healthy Start San Bernardino podcast, where we elevate voices, share resources, and hope for a healthy start. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.